again! Welcome to the incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed up podcasters. I am one of your hosts, Matt Harney, joined by David over there. 13, that's it. David 13. That's what it is. Still getting used to the stage names. Pull back the veil and the curtain a little bit, but
you know. we got to find you a stage name. Let's call you Matt.
That'll be easy to sign.
Yes. Can you imagine signing that on a legal document, just like
Matt. Esquire.
Esquire.
All right, David. Well, we are here to do our Halloween episode. So if you're listening to this on Halloween, we got this banged out for you right into the wire.
Yeah, we had to change the schedule a little bit. We were originally going to do a review a Dark Song this week, but we had some schedule, stuffery, as sometimes happen, and we had to make a little change, which is fine because we're doing a movie today. It's actually one of my and Matt's modern favorites of the horror genre.
Oh yeah, fantastic. We are, of course, reviewing Terrifier.
Yes, starring the awesome and not to get too politically, but very, very Trump-hating David Thornton.
No, did not know that.
Oh, I follow him on Facebook. He's actually very, of course, those we're talking about, we'll talk more about, but David Thornton actually plays Art the Clown, who is the basic, the killer of this, of Terrifier.
Right.
He's on Facebook, he's very active on Facebook, and oh dear, he really hates Trump.
So he's like a Michael Rappaport type.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean, kind of. Yeah, good guy though. Really cool. Very open to his fans. Pretty cool dude. So, but yeah.
So, tell us about Terrifier, David.
Yeah, dude. So, Terrifier is a 2016 American slasher film written, co-produced, and directed by Damien Leon. Leon is still relatively new to directing, actually, with only 2 other full-length feature films to his credit. 2015's Frankenstein vs. the Mummy, which I've never seen.
Who could forget that classic? I mean, honestly.
And quite frankly, I'm not sure if I want to, but hey, everyone's got to start somewhere, I guess. And of course, the 2013 anthology film All Hallows Eve. Go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say I do love a good horror anthology like Creepshow, Trick or Treat. What else? There's many more.
Those are kind of the best ones I can think of too.
Yeah.
I guess the Twilight Zone movie is one too, but that's more known for the real life deaths of 3 cast members as opposed to the film itself.
No.
So, yeah.
How fun.
We'll have to review that one at some point.
Oh yeah.
But and it's funny you bring that up about anthology, because this is a particularly important anthology film because the character of Art the Clown, who is the emphasis of the movie Terrifier, first appeared. He first got his first major role in All Hallows Eve. Now he first appeared in general in Leon's 2008 short film The Ninth Circle. He appeared again in another short film that Leon directed a couple years later, ironically also named Terrifier, which was, I guess, kind of a precursor, maybe kind of a dry run for what would become the movie we're actually watching, and of course All Hallows Eve, which became, I guess, it's kind of a official prequel almost to Terrifier.
Yeah, so these shorts were all incorporated into the 2013 anthology film All Hallows Eve, which marked both Art's first feature film appearance and Damien Leon's featured directorial debut. I'm going to have to check that out personally because that sounds fantastic. In 2015, Leon launched a campaign on the crowdfunding website Indiegogo to finance Terrifier, a feature-length spin-off of All Hallows Eve. After being notified of the Indiegogo campaign, filmmaker Phil Falcone provided the necessary funds for the project in exchange for a producer credit. In The Ninth Circle, the short film Terrifier, and All Hallows Eve, Art was played by Mike Gianelli? Sorry. I struggled with that name over and over, and I still fucked it up.
It's very, very Italian.
Extremely. Paisan. But in the feature film Terrifier, art was performed by the amazing and aforementioned David Howard Thornton.
And before we move on, speaking of the the point of Italian names, does the name Philip Falcone sound like a mobster name to you too?
Yeah, I believe there was a mobster named Falcone or something like that.
That wasn't Batman thinking of, but it just sounds like he's like, hey man, wanna I'll fund you a movie here, but I'm gonna have to whack you, to give me producer credit there.
Yeah,
like that.
If the funds don't come back, you might have to go for a little swim, eh?
We'll swim, on the river there, with my just awful, just East Coast Italian accent.
Hey!
Hey! Anyhow, so the cast, of course, as we already touched on like 9 times already, the incomparable David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. This film was actually Thornton's breakthrough. Other than Terrifier, he's only had small parts in the popular DC Comics television show Gotham as an orderly, which means he was just an extra, really, in 2017. And he also played the voice of Newt in 2 episodes of the 2019's children's cartoon show The Bravest Knight. So, yes, Art the Clown played a character on a child's cartoon show.
Perfect.
Great, right? Really, though, his career is kind of cool about this movie in general, as you'll see, is that Thornton and a lot of his co-stars in this movie, their careers really just beginning. His portrayal of Art in this film has already drawn comparisons to some of the great slasher icons of the 80s, and his fan base and the demand for him on the convention scene has really blown up like crazy in the years since this film's release. So definitely, it's easy to say he's definitely the breakout star of this movie.
Oh, yeah. Followed up by Jenna Cannell. She played Tara Hayes, and according to her IMDb, she's only been acting since 2010, but she's had a ton of credits to her name, including but not limited to the role of Nina Dunn in the 2011 television show Drop Dead Diva with comedian Margaret Cho.
Angry, screaming Asian lady who I remember from when I was a kid. I remember her.
Yeah, I can't believe she's still doing her thing. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
As Jesse in the 2014 episode of fuck! I'm just kidding. As Jesse in a 2014 episode of very popular CW show The Vampire Diaries, and as Kim in the 2017 horror film The Bye Bye Man, opposite legendary veteran horror and fantasy actor Doug Jones, who appeared in many award-winning Guillermo del Toro films, most notably as the Amphibian Man in the Oscar-winning The Shape of Water. Isn't that the one where people are having sex with like frogs and shit?
It's not just bestiality. It's like cross-species bestiality with a little hint of Lovecraft thrown in there. So I actually haven't seen it. I've heard it's good. Actually, I'm kind of behind on my Guillermo del Toro. I haven't seen a full Hellboy movie yet. I haven't seen this, Shape of Water. I have not seen Pan's Labyrinth, so that's probably something I should get on eventually here because, clearly a lot of his work is very...
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like fun for the whole family.
Very high regarded.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a little fun fact there about Doug Jones. He also played Billy Butcherson in the 1993 Disney cult classic Hocus Pocus, starring Bette Midler and the very young and, at the time, attractive Sarah Jessica Parker.
So he's the guy who has his mouth sewn shut for part of the movie?
And then he gets his mouth, and later he gets a hold of a little knife and cuts his mouth open, and he just unloads on Bette Midler, just as far as they can push it in a G-rated Disney movie. It's great. It's probably my favorite part of the whole movie, honestly.
Love that
Other than
movie.
Sarah Jessica Parker's boobs.
I like the part where they steal his shoes for being from California. But,
yes.
Other notable members of the very young Terrifier cast include Samantha Scafidi.
More Italians.
I should have really worked on these fucking names. I'm sorry.
You're not Italian. It's okay, man. I only get these because I am, in fact, half Italian.
We should just dub Spoos saying the names.
Speaking according to our friend Steven Spacuzza, who, other than my grandma, who's from Genoa, Italy, is probably the most Italian human being I know.
The man has a pompadour. I'm just saying.
Yes, he's very, 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 very Italian.
Hey. Samantha Scafidi. I said it.
Yeah.
Yay! As Victoria Hayes.
Somewhere.
Catherine Corcoran as Dawn. Corcoran also played Lauren in the 2013 trauma film Return to Nukem High, Volume 1. Puya Mohsini as the Cat Lady, and Katie McGuire as Monica. She also played Sarah in Leone's All Hallows Eve film, which served as the springboard film which led us to today's film. And let's get into the story, David.
Yes. So, Monica Brown, a talk show host, interviews a severely disfigured woman who is the sole figure of a massacre that took place the previous Halloween. Brown mentions that the body of the killer, known only as Art the Clown, disappeared from the morgue, suggesting that he is still alive. However, the disfigured woman insists that she saw him die. After the show, Monica insults the woman's appearance, after which the woman attacks Monica and gouges out her eyes. And let me point out here that before, when we're still this is all going on, we see actually Art in wherever the hell warehouse he's in, getting his makeup ready, filling a trash bag full of all his little weapons, and just kicking the TV he's watching in, showing that this dude means business and he's ready to screw some people up.
And boy, is it a fucking truly terrifying clown getup.
Yes, yeah, it is, and that's that actually is what got me to watch this movie. To be perfectly frank with you, Matt, I didn't hear anything about this movie before it came, before I saw it on Netflix. I just saw it on Netflix. I saw the face, Art the Clown, saw the Terrifier, the kind of little almost like a big, like the little the title card I guess they have on Netflix.
Right.
And I'd seen the clown a little bit here and there in different forums on Facebook and whatnot. I hadn't really looked into it. But then I just said one night, I saw this cool looking clown. I'm like, I'll check this movie out, because this clown looked like, honestly, the scariest clown I probably have ever seen, honestly. I mean, he could definitely scarier than it.
Oh, yeah.
And I just gave it a shot, and oh my god.
I'm sorry, but Pennywise in no way, I mean, the new version a little bit, but the old version, I'm sorry, that's just Tim Curry. I mean, I'm not scared of Tim Curry. I cannot be afraid of Tim Curry.
Yeah, and that was my issue with the original It, other than, I mean, it's great, don't get me wrong, it's great, and Tim Curry's great, but I could always tell it was Tim Curry.
And it just, you can't get I mean, okay, as a kid, before I knew who Tim Curry was, and, my stepbrother first showed me that movie, I was terrified. Yeah. But then once you watch it as an adult, and you just go, well, this is kind of goofy. Like, unless you read the book, and then you know about, like, the child orgies and all the other things, you go...
You had to leave out of every version of the movie.
Yeah, well, because nobody wants to see that.
No, well, I mean, maybe Epstein, okay. And, like,
Nobody, no upstanding member of society wants to see that.
Save the children, hashtag.
Oh, God.
Anyway.
You were saying.
Yeah, you're up.
Oh, we already, yeah, right. Yeah, by the way, that eye gouging scene, fucking fantastic effects.
It is.
It looks
really brutal. It is really brutal. Like, and that was kind of when I realized this movie was gonna be a little bit different, because just the brutality of that, and just the makeup of of
the other girl, the eye gouger.
Yeah, just it was really like kind of rough to watch, but it was awesome at the same time,
Yeah. All right, on Halloween. Okay, we open up. Now we're starting our story. We open up on Halloween night. Two friends, Tara and Dawn, leave a Halloween party and drunkenly wander back to Dawn's car, where they notice a strange man in a clown costume. The man, Art the Clown, follows them into a nearby pizzeria, where he kind of fucks with the Tara, the brunette, while the blonde girl, Dawn, sort of doesn't really perceive him as a threat, which... this is where suspension of disbelief a little bit, and one of the few times in this movie I think you need, no fucking, even a drunk girl is going to be fucking terrified of that clown. But,
yeah.
After a short time, the restaurant owner roughly escorts Art from the premises after he is found to have smeared his feces all over the bathroom wall, and I don't even know how you possibly smear that much feces and there's none on the clown costume. Maybe there's like a little brown on the backside area, but it was impressive. I mean, Art is truly a professional, and Art is not just a name.
Yeah, he's
it's
truly
not...
a master.
Yeah, so yeah, sorry.
He is a master of the fecal arts.
Yeah, a master of fecal graffiti, as it were.
Fecal graffiti. And I will say that the when you see Art in that pizzeria just staring there creepily at our main Tara and Dawn, that's the old David high school. I can't pick up any girls, so I'll just stare at them, thinking I'm attractive, and actually just creep them out. Look, so there's that.
I mean,
anyway,
the game evolves with time.
Yes, the game. It's a game of chance.
We didn't real quick. We didn't mention in that a couple things that happened in that scene. I think of note, which is one, the blonde girl sitting on Art's lap and taking a selfie where Art just doesn't move. Then Art gets up, takes a quarter and buys a ring out of this machine and puts it on Tara's finger, all before going to the bathroom to shit. It's just creepy stuff. It doesn't really affect the story or anything, but it's just kind of like interesting stuff to me that happened in that scene. Dawn not acting like a normal person and Tara totally acting like a normal person. I don't know if that's something that was meant to be portrayed anyway.
Well, it's interesting because it seems like as if Art knows something about Tara.
Yeah, because he focuses in on her from the get. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it's like Dawn is just nothing. It's just a piece. It's just whatever. It's just garbage thing. He doesn't even pay any attention. But Tara goes like there's something almost like he'd chosen her. You know what I mean?
Or almost like a dog smelling fear.
Yeah, exactly.
She's shown her hand to him already with her eyes, and that you become the object.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something like that.
Yeah. So the girls discover that one of Dawn's car tires has been slashed, and Tara calls her sister Vicky to come back and pick them up. While waiting, Tara asks a pet control worker, Mike, if she can enter the derelict apartment building he's working in to use the restroom. Once inside, Tara encounters a deluded woman, only credited as Cat Lady, who believes the doll she carries is her infant doll. And let me tell you, she does a good job here. She's very good job of playing a very creepy homeless woman.
Yeah, fantastic. Maybe the best acting in the film. I mean,
I agree. Other than
Art.
Than Art.
I mean, the girls are just screaming like that's.
And looking hot. And that's
that's hardly acting. But yeah.
So afterwards, Art returns to the pizzeria where he brutally kills and mutilates the two workers before abducting Dawn. And actually in the scene, one of the workers actually has his head turned into a jack-o'-lantern, which is very ironic because the recent Halloween sequel, aptly named Halloween, also had a very similar pumpkin-carved Halloween head. So you wonder, little ripping off there, I'd
say homage before ripping off.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, as far as Halloween paying homage to Terrifier, not Terrifier came away before Halloween, but still a pretty cool, brutal scene.
By like a couple decades. I mean, who's counting?
No. I mean, like Terrifier came out a couple years before the most recent Halloween. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh well, I don't even count that as a movie.
Yeah, it's actually not that bad. But
as long as it's better than the zombies. I'm sorry, but I did not dig that's not a conversation for now.
Yeah, that's a whole. Maybe like this might be a 5-part episode.
We can talk about how much those movies piss me off.
Yeah, that's Rob Zombie work is very divisive and polarizing. We'll say that.
If he can just stick to Lords of Salem and the Devil's Rejects trilogy, I'm really happy. I'm really happy with those.
Yes.
Okay, so Tara soon encounters Art inside the apartment building. He pursues her through the indoor mechanics garage and stabs her with a scalpel like 4 or 5 times right in the Achilles, which she does not sell well enough. This is gripe number 2 that I have. That girl should have been limping and dragging her leg. Whatever. It helps the story that she's able to move a little bit more. Nitpicking. I'm nitpicking. She tries to alert Mike, but Art drugs her? Oh, yeah. Tara awakens, bound to a chair, and Art reveals that Dawn is hanging, suspended upside down from the ceiling. He forces Tara to watch as he takes a hacksaw, rusty, dirty-bladed hacksaw, and begins to saw Dawn in half. We're talking top to bottom. It is fucking gruesome.
I think we'll just pause here for a moment and just pay attention to this scene, because this is the scene right here that put the movie over the top for me.
David does a really good job of verbalizing this scene, so I'm just going to let him take it away.
Well, yeah, I mean, keep in mind, so he has this girl, he has her naked except for her thong, upside down from what appears to be kind of like a sexual kind of torture device almost.
Yeah, she's spread, she's legs are spread.
She's spread eagle, yeah. And of course, he goes the extra mile of pulling her panties off and staring at her crotch before starting to saw into her. And of course, you get every grind, every slash, blood's dripping everywhere, pouring everywhere. It's
a difficult scene. In just describing this to Jaco tapped out. He wanted no part of this episode.
Yeah, and I understand why. But at the same time, I've seen a lot of what's, I've seen the Hostel movies. We've seen Camp Holocaust. We've seen all kinds of crazy.
We've seen fucking
crazy stuff.
Antichrist.
This one,
Antichrist, bro.
Yes, you've seen
the rusty scissors to the clitoris. The jerking off with the bloody Okay, anyway.
But yes, I cannot stress just how awesomely done this scene is.
Yeah, I mean, the effects are unbelievable. You don't even, most movies when something like this is happening, I'm trying to look for the CGI and, how the CGI look. This, you're just so into fucking, shock as to what's happening. So anyway, Tara escapes, getting her hand free, and running off just as Art gets to her general area. Art then grabs a handgun and shoots her, and shoots her to death after having to go and find himself some bullets. It was kind of a weird.
Yeah, it kind of shortchanged the actual tension of that scene.
Yeah, I didn't think that was necessary.
Yeah.
He then runs into the cat lady who witnessed the whole thing. Oh no, sorry. He runs into her after. I'm getting ahead of myself. The cat lady witnesses this, and begs Mike, the pest control man, to call the police. Mike dismisses her as insane, as anyone would. But Art then knocks him unconscious on the stairwell and destroys his cell phone with a hammer, even though his cell phone did happen to make a phone call to his boss. But then the hammer destroys the phone. The call is over. The cat lady discovers Art cradling her doll in the middle of a hallway. She pleads for the return of her child. She then tries to show him motherly love and compassion by cradling Art in a very, to me, unsettling scene.
Yeah. And there's some stuff to unpack in this right here. So I guess first we'll start out with the whole death of Tara scene. It really was kind of a false finish almost, because for a second there you thought she was going to pull it out and escape and be the last girl, but then this dude, in probably only polarizing movie, probably the most polarizing moment of this film and of the Art character so far, he breaks slasher rule number 1 and shoots her.
And the whole clip, and then another clip.
The whole clip, and he mutilates her face, which we kind of come back to a little later on. It's definitely a thing with mutilation of faces, which is a thing for Art. And then we go on down to the cat lady part and the whole baby thing and all that. And there's also a thing. It's kind of a weird motherly kind of thing going on. Maybe I don't know. I don't want to, I don't want to get too far ahead.
So
But
Art has
maybe,
mommy issues.
yeah, like some body issues relating to a motherly thing, or it could be just him just fucking with her. You know what I mean? Maybe he's just Art. I mean, we also skipped over. We also missed. That's my bad. We skipped over a part here earlier. Where he's Art's having a gay old time this whole time. When he's sawing Dawn in half, he's just laughing it up. I believe there was also a scene earlier where he was driving around on a trike, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So all this chaos.
He is definitely playing up being a clown while doing this. He's not forgetting that he is a clown. He does not break character.
He is having an amazing time while just mutilating everything and stuff. It's great.
You almost feel good for him.
Yeah, you're almost like, yeah, I would do that. Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
No comment.
Anyway, so Vicky arrives to take Tara and Dawn home, but is lured into the basement by Art. There, she discovers what she believes is an injured Tara, but is actually Art, who has severely mutilated the cat lady, and Gold Star warning here, is wearing her scalp and breasts like a costume. And we get a whole little weird scene here, where he's chasing her around like this, and it's creepy. I can't understate how creepy this entire exchange here is with Art chasing her around, which it appears he doesn't even have a penis or balls. It appears he's either he's either genderless, or he's tucking his schlong in. I don't know what it is, but that's happening while he's wearing this woman's scalp and boobs like a costume.
So yeah.
It's something. It's something else, guys. So anyway, Mike's coworker finally arrives looking for him, but is decapitated brutally by Art. Vicky escapes Art, but Art stops to grieve upon. Escapes Art, but she stops to grieve upon finding her sister's corpse. Art then attacks her with a makeshift cat o' nine tails, just pulls that out of his butt, but Mike arrives finally and knocks Art unconscious, somehow having survived the hammer beating from earlier. The two flee and call 911, but before they can escape, Art appears and kills Mike. Vicky retreats into a garage, and Art rams through the door with a pickup truck. This man has no chill, causing further injury to Vicky. As she lies helplessly, Art, and again back to the face here, Art begins eating her face. And there's a weird little thing here where he starts sniffing her, kind of like you were here saying earlier, he kind of smells something on her. He smells something in Tara. And it's interesting because they're related. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And he begins to eat her face. And then, of course, police arrive. Art looks annoyed as hell. He's like, okay, whatever. Lets him shoot him in the head, basically. And then, just that's it. Art the Clown shot in the head, seemingly dead.
I just want to take a minute to give a shout out to Mike's coworker. This poor son of a bitch. This poor son of a bitch is just at home. He's fucking in his boxers. He's watching a fucking horror movie. It's late Halloween. He doesn't have to work in the morning. He's got a bowl of popcorn and he's halfway through his 6-pack. And then Mike calls and fucking lures him to his goddamn death.
Yeah,
Justice.
He probably was about to go on Pornhub too. Probably was about to have a nice Pornhub evening, and what happens? Death, brutal death.
Fucking Mike. Couldn't handle
Shit.
the killer clown by himself. Just dropped the ball. Alright, I'm done victim blaming. Art's body is then taken to a morgue, along with the bodies of his deceased victims. When the medical examiner unzips Art's body bag, Art reanimates, strangles him to death in a, that's classic slasher movie moment. You love to see it. You love to see it. We flash forward 1 year later. Vicky is released from the hospital after rehabilitation from the injuries inflicted by Art. She is revealed to be severely disfigured, the severely disfigured woman from the film's opening scene.
Yeah.
Also,
that got me.
Shout out to her Because she also had nothing to do with this, and her sister lured her to her death.
Yeah, a lot of
Well,
that.
not death, but
movie.
disfigurement.
A lot of that going on in this movie. And speaking of face, something we did gloss over was, I'm not sure if you noticed this too, but throughout the film, Art's face does transform from to a very demonic, long-nosed, demonic-like creature. And it's, things like that, along with, of course, reanimating at the end, which leads you to think, he's not human. There's something else to Art going on that we're not quite sure what it is yet, but that's what's so... And, of course, the movie ends, in that final scene you described, so it kind of leaves us with more questions than answers. But I think that's part of what makes a cool slasher movie villain, is that, you end the film wanting more of him.
Yes,
that's like the original Halloween. It ends with Michael is having disappeared, scary music, Laurie Strode crying, Loomis looking daft. It's like, what the hell's going on? You wanted more. You wanted to see more of Michael Myers. Well, in this case, we want to know more about Art the Clown.
Yeah, well, that's the key. I mean, if you want him to come back, you gotta entice him.
Yeah, exactly. Leave him wanting more, so to speak. Of course, so Terrifier, little release note information here for you, premiered at the Telluride Horror Show Film Festival in 2016. It was later screened at the Horror Channel Fright Fest on October 28, 2017, and was subsequently picked up by Dread Central Presents and Epic Pictures for a very limited 2008 theatrical release. While not a big success at the box office, obviously due to the fact that it was in fact a very limited release, the film built a huge cult following after being picked up by Netflix in 2018, primarily due to word of mouth, which is how I turned you onto this movie and
how you got me to watch it.
Many others are turned onto the movie. It just shows the power of Netflix in 28 nowadays, because really, I mean, this movie might have just gone by the wayside otherwise. I mean, it wasn't going to get a wide release just because of the subject matter and just what it is. But without Netflix, I'm not sure this movie would have really taken on the life it has.
I don't know if it would have. So, as far as critical reception, the film received mixed to positive reviews on a review aggregator. On review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes. I am sorry, I am not doing well with this. Terrifier holds an approval rating of 64% based on 14 reviews, on an average rating of 6.12 out of 10. While Thornton's portrayal and the special effects were all well received by critics, criticism of the film was directly mostly at the dialogue. I don't know. To me, the dialogue... Does the dialogue really matter here? Like, fuck.
Does it ever matter in a fucking slasher movie?
Acting, which should be somewhat campy in a fucking horror movie or a slasher movie, that's part of the genre, and a lack of character development of the protagonist. I'll give you that.
I mean, and I agree with that. But at the same time, it's a by the book slasher. It's not a by the book slasher. We won't say that, but it's definitely very, very influenced by the classic slasher films of the '80s. And those movies, on top of never really having any development for the human or victim characters, they were also known for usually having very young, very bad actors. At least we forget the legendary Glazer from the legendary The Burning. From 1980, which if you haven't seen that, Matt, I definitely recommend it just to see this man's just lack of acting ability. It's great.
Yeah.
I was talking to her. Go watch the movie, and then you'll know what that means. And of course, anyone listening who's seen The Burning, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say, I was talking to her. Anyway, so Anton Vittel of the British Film Institute described the film as a subtext-free thrill and kill ride, which openly advertises the sheer senselessness and gratuity of all of its on-screen cat-and-mouse depths by numbers and unapologetically pure genre entry, confronting and amusing us with all the sinister masked vicariousness of the Halloween spirits. Cody Hammond of Arrow in the Head awarded the film a score of 8 out of 10. Calling it a very simple film, providing 84 minutes of stalking and slashing that occurs largely within the confines of one location. Leon directs the hell of that simple scenario, though milking every possible bit of tension from each moment. It's a thrilling, brutal, gory 80s throwback that he highly recommended checking out, especially if you have a fondness for the same decade of films that this movie obviously holds in high regard, which we clearly did.
Fucking A. Alright. The film was not without its detractors, though. Amiana Bartley of FilmInquiry.com. Why does everybody gotta have some fucked up names in this episode?
I don't know.
Felt that the... I swear to God, everybody, I'm going to get better with names as we get going. Alright? I promise. Of Inquiry.com felt that the film script lacked both clear protagonists and depth, and wrote that Art the Clown has potential to be a formidable, gruesome franchise horror character. He just needs some more seasoning, and I think that's a fair assumption.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Seasoning cultivation. Felix Vasquez Jr. of Cinema Craze called it fairly mediocre slasher fare, stating that the film lacked any creativity and tension, which bullshit. Also criticizing the film's storyline. Somebody has a stick up their ass. Vasquez concluded his review by stating, as a film, Terrifier aims high, but feels like a very disposable party favor you'll have forgotten once the credits roll. Not true. I've seen it 4 times.
How am I going to... Dude, what do you mean creativity? The guy...
No, this guy's got a huge stick up his ass. He's fucking...
I have seen many gory slasher and torture porn movies of the Hostel ilk, and I have never seen a scene as well drawn out and done as the crotch hacksaw scene from this movie.
It's unforgettable.
That alone makes this memorable. But, that's how it goes, though. Slasher movies historically have never really received the respect they deserve. Really, 64% Rotten Tomatoes is actually pretty good for a slasher film, let's be honest.
I just want to say, you remember that South Park where Stan's dad is, or Kyle, is it Stan's dad? Is smelling his own farts? They moved to San Francisco?
Oh, Kyle's dad.
Kyle's dad, right. Yeah, that's Felix Vasquez Jr. This guy likes, he doesn't have a cold beer at the end of his shift or when he finishes his article. Nah, he just fucking farts into a nice brandy fucking swifter. He whiffs it.
Whiffs it. They watch Sex in the City and goes to sleep.
After autoerotic asphyxiation, masturbation.
Yes.
Okay.
It's all that's his nightly routine, apparently.
All right. Now that we got that out of the way,
as far as accolades go, the film received 3 Fangoria Chainsaw Award nominations. Yay! Best Limited Release, Best Supporting Actor for Thornton, well deserved, and Best Makeup Effects for Leon, again, well deserved.
Wait! They called Art the Clown the supporting actor? He's not the star of the movie?
Yeah, and you're right. I do agree that he really was the star of the movie.
Who else would you call the star? Tara? She dies halfway through the thing.
Yeah, you're right about that. And I guess, I believe Tara, the actress who plays Tara, does get top billing in the film. But at the same time, she was hot, and that was kind of it. That was kind of the going for her. Just she was attractive.
Well, there we go. I'm not even mad.
So not trying to be disrespectful or anything like that, but I've seen, we've both seen great horror movie actresses. Jamie Lee Curtis, I forget her name. I think it was Sally Burns was her last name, or from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. Totally spacing her name right now.
I was just saying, I'm bad with actresses, like the actual. But yeah, there's no way she. Fuck. Jamie Lee Curtis, that's the person that deserves a top billing.
Yeah.
This girl. Who the fuck? Yeah, Nev Campbell. There you go. Fucking. Anyway.
So opinion time here, and this is a question that's actually been kind of growing. There's actually some. This isn't just me throwing out. David's just random questions. There's actually something that's been growing on the internet for a while here. Would you say that Art the Clown is possibly the best original slasher film killer since Ghostface, of course, from Scream, of Scream fame. And of course, we use Ghostface because really, I guess you can kind of consider slasher films kind of broken up, before Scream and after Scream in some ways. Everything before Scream was kind of, it was more, straightforward, whereas everything that came after kind of opened up to self-parody and kind of more tongue-in-cheek kind of stuff. And Ghostface kind of opened up that realm where he could be kind of, parody, but still, very, very scary. So that's why he's kind of that kind of middle ground. But anyway, back to the question, what do you think?
100%. I can't. I'm trying to even think of another character in that time that would even count.
No, I mean, you have the original golden era. You have the the 80s, early 90s, I guess maybe to I guess it kind of starts with maybe you can say it starts with Black Christmas. I'd say it probably starts with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Of course, you get Leatherface.
It's obviously Hear No Evil, See No Evil, Glenn Jacobs, a.k.a. the Big Red Machine Kane. Thank you.
Yeah. But I'm not sure if he is quite as memorable.
No, I don't think he is at all. Just like Bill Goldberg in Santa's Sleigh.
No, it's not.
But I mean, honestly, what's another, slasher character between Ghostface and Art the Clown that you can even name off the top of your head right now that is an actual slasher icon style killer?
Not really. I mean, I want to say maybe. Well, no. I mean, the thing that came closest to it maybe was The Fisherman from I Know What You Did Last Summer, but I feel like they never really. He never.
Yeah, but that's linear with Ghostface.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of the same kind of thing. It's just an extension and not done really as well as
it's a ripoff. It's a literal ripoff.
Yeah, and let's face it, those movies were more. The I Know We Did Last Summer movies were more about the very popular and attractive teenage cast. Jennifer Love Hewitt was at the peak of her just maximum hotness at that time.
Right.
It was about her, and it was about Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar. It wasn't. The killer was, who the killer was until the last 5 minutes of the film. It was primarily just, dude with the hook. Could be this guy, could be that guy. No one cares.
It's this guy with hook.
We were staring at Jennifer Love Hewitt's boobs.
Yeah, that's what I was there for. But it seems like in between that, it was more zombies. It was vampires and that bullshit. More
remakes.
More zombies, remakes. So really, there's nothing between Ghostface and Art the Clown. So I think the question it answers itself.
I mean, okay, here's one thing. I mean, and it's kind of, I guess, up for debate maybe. I mean, you have the Firefly Clan from the Devil's Rejects.
Is it a slasher though? They're. I mean.
And that's where I question it, is because I'm not really sure if you really.
If you count them, then you got to count Jigsaw.
That's true. And I don't really consider either of those really to be slasher films. I guess as far as just iconic horror, maybe they kind of rank in there. But
although, does Texas Chainsaw count as a slasher? Because I mean, Texas Chainsaw and House of a Thousand Corpses are kindred spirits. Honestly,
that's true. I mean, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was kind of one of the proto slashers, I guess. But as far as I mean, definitely would not consider Saw is definitely the torture porn genre.
Yeah.
And Devil's Rejects. I mean.
Ghost. That was the other thing that came in that time frame in between those two movies. It was zombies. It was fucking torture porn. And it was ghosts.
Yes.
And that's what we've been getting. And there's not. I mean, slashers have been relegated to the B movie, and you're never gonna get a B movie slasher over like that in this day and age.
Well, yeah. I mean, the best slasher movies. I mean, honestly, the best original slasher movies that weren't just remakes. There's a time there we had a million remakes come out. It felt like, but the best new slasher movies really have been straight to DVD probably for the last 10, 15 years, it feels like.
Netflix fare that people see a fucking 2.0 rating and they just pass it up.
Yeah, very true.
And that could have very easily happened to Terrifier without the proper thumbnail.
Absolutely.
All right. Oh, sorry, we were all into the discussion and I lost where I was at. That was a great question, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, that got us a good 6 minutes of conversation. Future. Boom. Good news. Terrifier 2, it is coming. Leone and Thornton are returning. Yeah. The film was in production and was about to be wrapped up before COVID-19 shut down the entire thing in spring 2020. It was supposed to be released in time for Halloween 2020, which would have to mean it would be released in 20 minutes.
Yes.
As we are recording. But as of now, it's been pushed back to likely 2021, which, don't rush it. Make that thing perfect.
No, and if you haven't checked it out already, go online. There actually is a teaser trailer online, and that they were able to get out there before everything got shut down. And it doesn't give away a whole lot, but it definitely, they got a bigger budget for this one. They got some better effect budget for this one. And, I think it's going to be possibly even more violent and probably give us some more answers about art that we were kind of left with, as far as questions goes regarding his origin and his psyche after the first film. So really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I just hope they don't go too hard or, take a hard turn into torture porn, which I could see this doing.
I know what you mean. There's a thin line between suspense slasher with some really violent shit and just going full on just gross for the sake of, like, going Human Centipede.
Yes, exactly.
Where it's just gross for the sake of gross.
Right, and that's where you lose me.
Yeah.
All right, our final thoughts on the movie for me. This is I didn't even realize this came out in 2016. It felt like it just came out. It sits so fresh. It's one of my top 5 favorite movies that's come out in the last 10 years, and I'm not talking about horror. I'm talking about movies.
Yeah, that's actually awesome.
Yeah, it's that good. I was actually really bummed the other night when I went to look for it, and it wasn't on Netflix. David luckily informed me it was on Tubi, so with a few commercials, which I can deal with, I was able to watch the movie again, and for me, it's a 5 out of 5 on the Matometer.
The Matometer.
The Matometer.
And for a moment there, I just want to say, if you're looking for the best horror collection of any online streaming service right now, I definitely encourage Tubi. It's free, and they have, things better than Shudder's lineup. It's definitely better than Netflix. If you're looking for violent, exploitative horror and stuff that you never find on Netflix, check out Tubi. It's free. Why not? And as far as my rating, I'm going to give it as close to perfect as I can. I consider a perfect horror movie, being the cinema snob that I am, to be like The Exorcist or like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Those are perfect horror movies. I'd give this a 4.75. And that's nothing against, it's nothing against anyone's performance. Kind of. Some of the acting is, let's say, it's questionable. It's a slasher movie.
Yeah. Well,
it's great.
That's why I didn't
like
down.
You said, it's one of my favorite horror movies.
I'm sorry, I was cutting you off. Oh, I was going to say that's why. We're fucking doing this. This is what happens when you have to record over the internet, people. It happens. David, go ahead.
Okay. So it's definitely one of my favorite horror movies of the past. Heck, the best original of the past 15 years. But at the same time, it's slasher. It is a slasher movie. It is a very creative and original slasher movie. But let's not try to act like the acting or maybe the story is anything out of the ordinary. It obviously isn't going to hold up to, Perkins and Psycho. It's not going to hold up to any of the performances in Jaws, Linda Blair and Exorcist. It's not that, and it's fine, But as far as being a perfect score for me, a perfect 5-star, I kind of personally keep that for the golden, the golden David, so to speak, of horror films. That goes to Alien, that goes to Jaws, that goes to The Exorcist.
See, for me, I take the Meltzer approach. and those movies get a 6-star. That's only if they are filmed in Japan.
at the Tokyo Dome with Kenta Kobashi watching on.
Yes. All right. Well, I don't know what we're gonna do next. I don't know if it's gonna be Dark Song, and what's coming after that. But David, since it's Halloween, give somebody a deep cut recommendation.
Deep cut recommendation. Let's see. I'm gonna make it. It's not super difficult. It's something that a lot of hardcore horror fans have probably seen. But I'm going to go ahead and recommend Demons.
Demons. There we go.
It's a classic Italian horror flick from I believe it was like the mid '80s. I want to say very awesome. 80s metal soundtrack, which I'm very much into. Motley Crue and Accept appeared in that. It's very violent, almost kind of very Evil Dead. It's imagine like an Italian Evil Dead that takes place in a cinema, in a cinema.
I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely worthwhile. Definitely recommend it. Like I said, it's one of those movies that if you're, people who are really like obsessed with horror movies and go to sleep watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre like me, you've probably seen it or heard of it at least. If not, definitely go check it out. It's definitely worth the time.
All right.
As Terrifier.
I'm going to say Blood Diner, 1987. It's a horror comedy. I was telling David about this one the other day, and David, like, I can't even... I gave you very little to work with, but I can't even begin to describe... basically, it's these two cannibalistic brothers are killing young women to try and revive an Egyptian goddess with the help of their dead uncle's brain.
Oh.
There's just, there's tits and there's every single fucking every single slasher and 80s horror movie trope you can imagine jammed into one movie. Like I said, David, it has David's new favorite movie written all over it.
It sounds very similar, almost maybe derivative of the Herschel Gordon Lewis splatter masterpiece, Blood Feast.
Actually, there's a blood buffet, I believe, is what they keep talking about. So they might be spoofing that even.
Interesting. I will definitely check that out then.
Yeah, that's on Hulu. For those of you who have it, I heard about it through the podcast Doug Loves Movies, and I saw it was on Hulu. Gave it a watch, and it's batshit insane. It is fucking. It's got the same humor as a Return of the Living Dead. You remember that one? The one that's a real goofy. Yeah, the real goofy. That's my favorite of the Living Dead franchise, honestly.
Yeah. The music, the performances, Linnea Quigley's boobs. It's awesome. Exactly
that. I mean, this movie has a wrestling match where one of the main characters wrestles a man that is a very chiseled, blonde-haired Hitler.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm
sorry.
And, I'm not going to give away anything else, but definitely watch that movie. I know I'm gushing over it. This is now our longest episode, but we are going to go ahead and sign off now. I assume we'll have another episode for you in a couple days, or, somewhere in the next week. So, David, any last thoughts? Anything you'd like to say?
Nope. Enjoy your Halloween. Don't saw anybody down the crotch with a hacksaw. If you do, make sure you use proper plastic protection to blood stain off your nice little tile floor.
See American Psycho for reference.
There we go. Yeah, that's always good.
All right. This has been Matt and David. We are the incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed up podcasters. Find us on the Recluse Podcast Network podcast feed, and we will and YouTube page actually. The incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed up podcasters. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.